Professor Kamle for extending this invitation to speak on this very important theme of Dr. Ambedkar's vision. So, my co-panelist Prashant Vandive and the earlier speaker has talked upon Ambedkar's consciousness and socio-economic indicators as far as development is concerned. The last speaker has talked on it. So my job is to now speak on Ambedkar's The Pedagogy of Liberation, the title which is given to me. So I'm going to briefly talk on the pedagogy of liberation as far as Dr. Ambedkar is concerned. So the first slide. The other one. ते माझं पुस्तकाचं आहे. So what makes me competent to speak on this subject is I have done some research on investigating cultural capital. I did this research in 2010 and 11. This book is published later. So I published it in Marathi. It is titled as you could see, पंचनामा सांस्कृतिक भांडवलशाहीचा भारतातील आरक्षण धोरणाचा दुर्लक्षित पैलू. So I have got now the copyrights of this to translate in English. तर मी आता हे ह्याचा इंग्लिशमध्ये ऑलरेडी माझ्याकडे होतं, तर हे मराठीमध्ये आम्हाला ट्रान्सलेट करायला सतीश कामतांनी हे ट्रान्सलेशन करून हे आलं. तर ह्या पुस्तकामध्ये किंवा ह्या रिसर्चमध्ये आम्ही सांस्कृतिक भांडवल म्हणजे काय, पिएरे बोर्दियू जो फ्रेंच सोशॉलॉजिस्ट आहे, तर त्याची एक संकल्पना घेऊन सांस्कृतिक भांडवलशाहीची आणि ती भारतीय परिस्थितीमध्ये आपण कशी ती वापरू शकतो आणि अंमलात आणू शकतो. कारण जेव्हा आपल्याला असं दिसून येतं, जसं आता इंडिकेटर्स सांगितल्याप्रमाणे, की दलित, आदिवासी हे हायर एज्युकेशन, प्रोफेशनल एज्युकेशनमध्ये बाहेर का पडतात, कसे पडतात आणि त्यांचं पार्टिसिपेशन, नुसतं पार्टिसिपेशन नाही पण ते बाहेर का पडतात, आणि हे म्हणजे आकडेवारी आपल्यासमोर सर्वांची आहे. तर ह्याला आपण एक्सप्लेन करण्यासाठी हा सांस्कृतिक भांडवलशाहीचा हा एक जो कॉन्सेप्ट आहे, जो पिएरे बोर्दियूनी दिलेला आहे, तर तो भारतीय परिस्थितीमध्ये कसा अंमलात आणायचा, कॉन्सेप्च्युअली कसा अंमलात आणायचा, तर एक पुस्तकामध्ये मी हा एक प्रयोग केलेला आहे. तर तो वाचकांसमोर आहे. तुम्ही जेव्हा तुम्हाला वेळ मिळेल तेव्हा हे पुस्तक तुम्ही घेऊ शकता. आणि आता इंग्लिशमध्ये मी हे पुस्तक नव्याने आम्ही करतो आहे. आजच्या ह्या 2 दिवसीय सेमिनारचं जे टायटल आहे, द माइंड दॅट मूव्ड मिलियन्स, अनफोल्डिंग द ग्लोबल रेलेव्हन्स ऑफ डॉक्टर B.R. आंबेडकर. तर ह्या अनुषंगाने मी 2 मिनटं तुमचा वेळ घेईल आणि I would like to say that I don't need to say that Ambedkar is relevant, but what people are doing, म्हणजे भारताबाहेरील लोक काय करतात आणि बाबासाहेबांनी त्यांच्या विचारांना आणि त्यांच्या कामाशी रिलेटेड होऊन अकॅडमिशियन्स काय करतात. मी 2014 आणि 2015 बॉन विद्यापीठामध्ये गेलो होतो. तर तिथं माझा मित्र आहे वेर्नर गेपार्ड, जो एक नामांकित सोशॉलॉजिस्ट आहे त्या विद्यापीठातला. तर तो मुंबई विद्यापीठामध्ये आला होता जेव्हा मी तिथं म्हणजे काम करत होतो तेव्हा. तर तो आला आणि त्याला पहिल्यांदा त्यानं सगळीकडं म्हणजे मुंबईमध्ये फिरताना बाबासाहेबांचे पुतळे वगैरे पाहिले आणि त्यानं विचारलं की हे काय आहे, म्हणजे कोण आहेत, काय आहे. ते तिथपासून सुरुवात झाली. मग आमचं इंटरॅक्शन चालू झालं आणि त्यांनाही ते नंतर वाचून वगैरे हे कळलं की हा किती मोठा माणूस आहे. एवढं त्यांना कळल्यानंतर ते जेव्हा परत जर्मनी बॉनला गेले तर त्यांनी काही गोष्टी शोधल्या, वाचल्या आणि त्यांनी 2014-15च्या दरम्यान साधारणतः, म्हणजे त्याच्या आधी जेव्हा मी तिथं गेलो होतो तर तेव्हा सांगितलं की मी एक सेंटर काढलेलं आहे बॉन विद्यापीठामध्ये. त्याचं नाव होतं लॉ ॲज कल्चर. म्हणजे जसे तुमची स्कूल ऑफ सोशल सायन्सची बिल्डिंग आहे तसं तिथं लॉ अँड कल्चर असं एक सेंटर त्यांनी उभं केलं होतं. तर मी जर्मनीच्या दुसऱ्या शहरामध्ये होतो, तर त्यांना मेल केला की बाबा मी आलो आहे. तर त्यांनी मला म्हणले यू शूड कम टू माय युनिव्हर्सिटी अँड स्पेंड सम टाईम. तर मी गेलो तिथे आणि मी जस्ट माझी बॅग वगैरे घेऊन गेलो, तर ते मला लहान बाळासारखे त्यांनी मला हे सेंटर दाखवलं, फिरवून दाखवलं. एक 4 फ्लोअरची बिल्डिंग आहे. मला म्हणजे असं लहान बाळाचं खेळणं कसं असतं तसं ते खेळणं मला असल्यासारखं हे माझं खेळणं आहे. आणि इतक्या प्रेमाने ते म्हणाले की माझं खेळणं आहे, तू पाहायला ये, तुला खूप आवडेल. गेलो मी, मला लहान पोरासारखं ते माझी बॅग घेऊन तेच फिरत होते. एक हॉलिवूड स्टार असल्यासारखा हा माणूस, एवढे मोठे केस आणि त्याचा ॲक्सेंट ते जर्मन ॲक्सेंटमध्ये तो बोलत होता. आणि त्यानं एका फ्लोअरवरती थांबला. त्या एका फ्लोअरवरती थांबल्यानंतर तिथं अशी मोठी रूम होती. त्या मोठ्या रूमच्या कॉर्नरला काहीतरी लिहिलं होतं. तर ते मला दाखवण्यात आलं. तर तिथं व्हॉट वॉज देअर in that corner. So in that corner there was a name of Ambedkar, and he said that this room is dedicated to B.R. Ambedkar. So he started saying that I got this center sanctioned from the Ministry of Multiculturalism from Germany on the idea that that Ambedkar was supposed to join as a student there in Bonn. Okay, and he told to the ministry that this person was our alumna, and he created the world's most relevant constitution for India. So we should dedicate this. So Law and Culture as a center was dedicated to B.R. Ambedkar, and an Ambedkar room in that full building is being set up there. That is one. When I was recently in Bonn, I mean last year, this year in the beginning, I was visiting professor there in Göttingen for some time. So then so this year also, this man has started Emil Durkheim Center for Crisis Analysis, and he has instituted Ambedkar Fellowship. It's just in the beginning. He's instituted Ambedkar Fellowship in University of Bonn in this center. So the mind that moved millions. So it's a very important and relevant thing. So if you see what people are doing outside India, how much of Dr. Ambedkar's ideas has moved millions, not only in India but outside, and what people are doing. So I'll come to my topic today, and I would like to raise some of the critical questions which we should engage with. Today, it is the education system has geared towards what is called as the National Education Policy 2020, and we all in universities are trying to remold our education system. So while we are remolding our education system, I as an person who is part of the academics system, I'm not listening that are we really talking in or considering that is there any domination, exclusion and discrimination in the education system? Are we questioning it? So the answer is simple. We are not questioning it. So I'm also not listening that what 10 or 15 years people used to say that we want to create students, those who could be responsible citizens of India. I'm not listening that when we are gearing up for the new education policy. So how many of us, the academic fraternity, has reacted critically to this policy as such? I'm not saying this policy is bad. Okay, so how critically are we engaged with this policy? What I hear when we design syllabus, when we design curriculum today, is that the whole focus is on to create students for the job market, skill-based education, entry and exit. Okay, so the emphasis of the new policy is on to skill-based education. So the whole education system is geared to create human capital to serve the society. That is what we see. So the critical question is that, are we going to create a new labor class? Are we can talk on it, we can debate on it, we can agree and disagree on it. What are we going to do? The whole idea is to have Vikasit Bharat, okay, by so and so date, and therefore, in order to achieve this Vikasit Bharat, we are going to design this kind of education system. Yes, indeed, we want Vikasit Bharat, but how that Vikasit Bharat we could achieve? The whole question is that, would this Vikasit Bharat talk about justice, equality, okay, justice, equality, and devoid of exclusion, discrimination. Okay, that is the whole point, and that is the whole my contention when we design this kind of policy. What is happening is that when we are gearing towards skill-based education, and people, those we would want to produce new labor, these are labor class, new labor class. What is happening is that the philosophical foundation of in academics is what is being not totally missed out, but the philosophical foundation. There is a exclusion in terms of touching upon the philosophical foundation. We are completely moving towards the new labor class, to produce a new labor class. Now, when you talk about Ambedkar's idea of pedagogy of liberation, it becomes extremely important and relevant today. Why? Because this is a old kind of slogan which Dr. Ambedkar used as educate, agitate, and organize in the Bahishkrut Hitkarni Sabha. So you understand the terminologies which Ambedkar himself has used: Bahishkrut, Hitkarni Sabha, and educate, agitate. So are we really today talking in terms of exclusion, discrimination, domination in the educational system, and then reflecting upon the policy, and then even reflecting on the pedagogy, what kind of pedagogy we should have? So my earlier co-panelist has also talked in terms of education system which suffers domination, oppressive mechanism, discrimination, and exclusion, whereas this Ambedkar thought that this could be tackled with a critical kind of pedagogy, and his whole idea or whole emphasis was to have a democratization of education system. So Ambedkar's philosophy works becomes very important in this regard, when we as an academician are really not engaging critically with what is happening in the educational system. That is what, these are my personal researched opinions which I would like to place in front of you. So Ambedkar's pedagogy or Ambedkar's philosophy was driven by, as all of us know, Buddhist philosophy and ideas and the pedagogy. If you go to Milind College, you could see that Milind College is as good as a replica of an European university or a college, and you could see it's not just a replica, but there is certain kind of critical thinking which Ambedkar has applied, that what kind of education system we should have, and that too in area like Marathwada, and why he chose Aurangabad as the center for Milind college. We all know that history. So the emphasis there was to move away from a traditional kind of an educational system to a modern, rational kind of a system with our own, great Indian culture of Buddhist teachings and Buddhist ideas and philosophy. So the pedagogic system. 2 minutes. The pedagogic system has moved from Guru Shishya Parampara to the Milind and the Naksen kind of a tradition, which is more just, which is more modernist, and which is more friendly. So I could draw an analogy between Ambedkar and Paulo Freire, when Paulo Freire talks about the pedagogy of the oppressed. In the pedagogy of the oppressed, Paulo Freire talks about the banking concept in education and the dehumanizing effect because of this banking concept. Why? Because in banking concept, you load all your ideas and you prepare students to accept these ideas uncritically, without any reflection. So you are going to produce a system which is oppressor and the oppressed. Okay, so Milendo and the Naksen kind of a student teacher and the pedagogic system is more humanizing and more liberatory kind of a system, and it has a humanizing effect even for oppressor and the oppressed. Can you show the earlier slide, please? So if you see the critical pedagogy which Paulo Freire talks about, the relation between teacher and the student. Teacher bears the scientific knowledge. Students have experiential knowledge. So that is the contestation which takes place in a democratic classroom. Are we having these democratic classrooms in today's context, where we use Milando and the Naksen? I hope you all know the Milando and the Naksen debate and the book which Milind Pano, so I will not go into that book, but this Ambedkar's whole ideology was to provide a critical kind of pedagogy, and that this he implemented in the PES educational system, where you have Milind and the Siddharth college, and he was the first person to have a students' parliament, introduce students' parliament, because everything are questions are really political, and therefore also to have a political training of ideas, contestations, debates, dialogues. So these are the first place where he provided. So critical pedagogy is what Ambedkar was really invoking from the Buddhist tradition, and trying to reimpose or try to re-inculcate in the new education system. So another important thinker is Antonio Gramsci. Okay, and I could relate Ambedkar with Antonio Gramsci, where Antonio Gramsci, we know that he has conceptualized the whole the concept of hegemony, and the counter ideology and the praxis which we use. So taking a comparative thing between Antonio Gramsci, what Ambedkar could be talked as himself as an organic intellectual. Okay, organic intellectual means an intellectual who is reflecting from the ground, from the society, and then reformulating an ideology to transform society, or going for a transformative kind of an political ideology by posing a counter revolutionary ideology. So is our education system, or even the Ambedkarites in the education system, are really working towards rebuilding of this counter ideology, or are they really becoming organic intellectuals in order to have a critical pedagogy in the education system? This is very important in terms of transformation, democratization of education, and liberatory praxis, which Ambedkar in the PES, the education model which is given, has tried to implement there. So organic intellectuals, Ambedkar has criticized intellectuals being the most dishonest class of people. So are we going to reflect ourselves in terms of, can we become organic intellectuals, unless we critically engage, unless we critically reflect? This whole question about becoming organic intellectuals would not take place. And as Prashant Randive has talked about awakening, Ambedkarite awakening consciousness. So I would leave with the whole question about, are we really the followers not only of Ambedkar as an ideology, but in terms of, are we really raising questions, critical questions? Are we engaging with some kind of transformative liberation kind of work in academic universities or academic places? Okay, or are we really engaged in critical pedagogies when it comes to learning and teaching as Dalit intellectuals? Are we going to? So that's the broader question which I would like to leave, and I would like to take some comments, questions on it. But since, because of paucity of time, you can just see what does this critical pedagogy means, and just we can relate you to Ambedkar's vision when he talked about educate, agitate, and organize. So I can take, and I really thank you, Professor Gautam Kamble and Rajabhav also, for inviting me here and giving me opportunity to share my thoughts. And these are my thoughts. You may have differences, disagreements. All are welcome. Thank you so much.